This is what I did to finally master dropshipping. So over time, I've joined tens of school communities and also WOP Discord communities, and I would probably say that I can attribute most of my growth in the periods where I had like an uptrend in success when I actually joined these communities and actually learned from them, because you're basically getting access to these top level people that you wouldn't usually meet in real life or get the chance to actually run into, and then you're gaining all of their knowledge. And what I like to say is you're paying for a seat at the table, right? You're kind of having a value exchange where you're giving them money as a trade-off to actually acquire that knowledge that they've had, and you're removing that knowledge gap which sets you apart from them because they know something that you don't. So you're paying for a membership to actually acquire that higher tier knowledge. Now, as a beginner, I had that skeptical mindset where, since there's so many fake gurus, people online are basically saying that anyone who sells a course is a scammer or every course is a scam. Now, this is actually a bad mindset to have because it blocks you from the whole info space and it makes you assume that everything is just not true that you're watching. It makes you think that all info products out there don't have any valuable knowledge to actually learn from. But I did have a growth mindset at the time, so I decided to join them and give them a chance. And I will say that joining all these paid products made me learn way more than I did off YouTube. Now, if I would give some advice on what kind of paid products to join, and if you're thinking about joining any of these communities, you need to have the mindset of trust but verify, which means you need to trust that there is good information out there, but you need to verify the source that it's coming from, okay? You need to ask the questions like, are these people showing you the revenue figures? And if they're showing you the revenue figures, are they actually showing you the profit as well? Or at least sometimes. They don't need to always show you the profit, but sometimes do you see that they're making profit? If they don't show you the actual screenshots or the clips, are they actually at least talking about the profit? For an example, certain niches in ecom will make lower profit. Now, ecom as a whole, you could be looking at 20 to 40% margins on a lot of the revenue. I've even gone as low as like 15% in niches like fashion. Not everyone talks about this. They always want to tell you that they're making 20 to 30%. That's not true. I've gone as low as like 15% on fashion because you have returns. If they're not showing you any of these revenue or profit figures, or even discussing that sometimes you will have lower margins, then you do need to obviously consider whether you can trust the source or not. Are they consistent, or are they at least still doing the business? I think the reason why I always have things to share on this channel is that I'm actually constantly doing this business and I'm learning from mistakes. I've had periods where I've made big losses, and then I'm joining new communities, learning from different places, acquiring more information, going out into the market and then testing that myself. If it doesn't work, then I learn from it. If it does work, I have advice to share on this channel. That's also why I disappeared for about 6 months on this channel, because I went back into a learning phase. And since I'm not a guru or a fake guru, I don't really make money from this YouTube channel, so I can afford to do that and then just focus on the business. So if they're a fake guru or some guru who's not doing the business and they rely on social media, they can't do that. They can't disappear for a long time, right? They've got to constantly push out content. But you can kind of tell if they're really doing the business model because they'll start posting fake quotes. There's a lot of people on Twitter who just post absolute BS, and you can tell they don't do the business model. Some of it's because they just post AI tweets and they don't even check them, and that just pumps out false info. But some of them just give out terrible advice, which just doesn't work in the market. So you can tell usually if they actually do the business model or not. If you're a beginner, it'll be harder to obviously see if they're legit or not, but people who are experienced, they know who's real and who's not. Also, another mindset block which you need to break is everything on YouTube is free, so why pay for paid information? This is great, but yes, you can find free information. For an example, on a lot of channels, including mine, I do give away a lot of information for free, but you either pay for the high tier information that people don't share on YouTube, so you join those communities, you pay for those courses, and you learn the higher level of information, or you get kind of like a watered down 20-30% of information for free on YouTube, and you consume that free stuff, but instead of paying for the information, you become the product. So either way, you've got to pay in some way. So if you're not paying to actually join a product and learn from, like a course, if you buy a course, you join the course and then you get the information. That's like a simple value exchange. Or you join a community and then get the information. If you're just getting free info on YouTube, a lot of the time it's outdated. They won't share the up-to-date strategies because if they're making money with something new, they're not going to share it till later, right? And if you're consuming free information on YouTube, you're always being actively sold to. You've got to pay in some way for that information. So on YouTube, in the case, to make it worth while sharing things. When people make videos, they've got to share things like affiliate links to make money off that content. They've got to sell you something. You're never going to get something at the same level of quality of information for free, okay? You might be able to start out with the beginner information, but from my experience, it's not really quality information. If someone's sharing information on YouTube, they're not going to share it for free. If they're already making a lot of money with it, they're not going to share it for free because there's no benefit to them. There's always got to be a catch, okay? So that's one thing you need to know. No information is truly free. The quality information is usually paid. You're not going to have a millionaire giving away everything for free if they're genuinely a millionaire. That's where the paid content is actually useful, as long as the person's legit. Now, I don't even really promote my community. I do sometimes put it in the link down below because I do have great information in there, but you also need to take action on that knowledge, and there's certain people that don't want to obviously pay for information, and that's completely fine. So I do share a lot of free information on this channel, but you have to actually take action, okay? The problem with a lot of these cheap communities is people join them and then they just give up. For an example, when I was giving away information for basically nothing, I had like a $1 community, I think in 2024, and I had a lot of people in there, and we had a few people with great success, but then a lot of people just quit fairly near the beginning because they were only paying $1 for that information. Usually if someone's getting something for free or close to nothing, they don't really have any risk for their investment, so they just kind of flip-flop. So that's also another downside with people who consume free info. The next thing is I actually took action, okay? So once I cleared that knowledge gap and actually learned something, I actually took action on that information I learned from. Now, I always like to say, what's interesting is even if I give away so much information on this channel for free, only roughly like 1% of people will learn and take action on that knowledge. And then you've also got to account that only like 1% of that 1% will then be successful on taking action on that knowledge. So in the end, if you make it, roughly, you're going to be in that 0.01%. So when you're giving away information, only like 0.01% of people will actually be successful from the information you're giving away. So that's also why it's fine usually to give away secrets, because most people won't even use them. And because of this, you don't really have much competition, because most people just give up quickly because they don't really want to do anything unless they see quick results. So in dropshipping, that's also going to be a big advantage for you. Now, when I was starting out and really taking it seriously, I'd say like the end of 2023, start of 2024, I roughly saw that to find like a decent product, not always a winner, either a winner or a semi-winner, it took me roughly 3 months. Now, as my experience grew, it became easier as I had more budget to test more to find products that had a greater pull. Usually this time thins, the more experience you have, the easier it is to find winning products. Now there's a lot more ways to validate things. There's updates to the Facebook ad library and also product research methods, which are a lot easier to find winners, and this will improve with time. Another thing is I basically reinvested everything. So when people make like the first 20, 30, 50k plus in e-commerce, they want to waste it on a watch straight away, they want to buy a car, and this is great for marketing. You see a lot of people on Instagram, they're basically flexing like their new Audi R8, or I don't know, I'm not really a car person, let's just say like a Lamborghini. This is great for marketing, especially if they're selling a course, but if they're just doing the business model, they're going to go broke really quickly. Of course, when they get hit with taxes later on, they're going to either lose everything or go back to square one, so it's kind of stupid. You usually see a lot of young people do this, or people just want to promote a course, but in 2025 and 2026, a lot of people are kind of tired of seeing all that BS. Also, a Lamborghini doesn't really seem to impress people as much anymore, so they've got to like keep upping the ante and like one-upping themselves to promote the course, if that's like the approach they're doing, the whole lifestyle promo. So it's not really going to work in the long run anyway. And remember, if you waste all your money at the start and you actually want to replicate that success, a winning product can die for many reasons. For an example, your creatives can die if you don't really know how the system works, especially if people ripping. Your creatives are eventually going to burn out. If you don't know how they work, the product's going to die, okay? Because you can't keep replicating the success. It could also be seasonal if your product's not evergreen. If it's like, let's say, a Valentine's Day product and then it kind of slows down, your product's going to die. You've got to find a new one or wait for the next year season again. The demand for that product could die. Obviously, if something's trend-based, maybe a brand blows up and you sell something similar, the demand for that could die as well. So there's a lot of ways that your product can die, and if you don't know how to kind of stretch it out for longer, the cash is going to go. If you've wasted all your money, you don't have the profits to reinvest in testing, so you can go broke a lot quicker. Maybe you can't restart again, so wasting your money is not a good idea. And depending on your skill level, if you've just kind of got lucky, you're not going to be able to recover it, you're not going to be able to replicate that success, and you're back to square zero. Reinvesting is delayed gratification. You're not going to like be able to get those rewards you're seeking, but in the long run, you're hoping it's going to come back to you tenfold, okay? It's kind of like if you give to other people, eventually you'll expect to receive it, tenfold, hopefully, in life. And the more profit you have, obviously, instead of wasting it, then you have more room for error. So if you fail, it's not going to hurt you as much, and you have more to invest in a proven concept once you find it. And the more cash you can actually afford to spend without actually relying on a credit line or a credit card, which becomes quite powerful in the end. And eventually you could even then use that cash to start a brand with real inventory and move away from the dropshipping model too. So that's also another benefit. I think before you reach your first 100k profit, don't waste your money. It's a bad thing. And also remember, if you're in like a Western country, there's huge taxes. Like originally I'm from the UK, right? So taxes is like basically half of your money. So even if you make 100k, you're walking away with like 40, 50k, and that's even if you're profitable. If you've made huge losses throughout the year, a lot of the times you're not even walking away with money. Like there's times where I've lost so much I've not even walked away with any profits at all, even when I've made big revenue in certain months and kind of time periods, right? So if you're paying tax as well and you're in a high tax country, don't waste your money because it's going to hurt you in the end, trust me. Now I actually had a comment once. This is another interesting thing as well, because this goes into like the whole gear of like keeping up appearances, flexing lifestyles, and people being used to like the social media of people promoting themselves with like crazy cars and like this Dubai luxury lifestyle. You'll notice that I'm just in a normal bedroom, right? I had a comment once, I think it said something like, why are you living in the attic and sleeping on the floor, and why are you not in like some big penthouse in Dubai? And it was pretty shocking too, because I think it came from some ecom YouTubers who commented this, or some fan account of them. Just because someone has a rental apartment in Dubai, it doesn't mean they're not a fake guru, right? People fake the lifestyles now more than ever. On social media, you'll see like huge flexing, people like renting these Bugattis which they don't even own, people in a Dubai apartment, and then they'll lose it in like a few months. Maybe they're just spending like a month in Dubai. Don't trust everything on Instagram. Sometimes big influencers, they also like partner with a car company who lets them like use a car just for promo. That's also something that happens. Some of the biggest killers in ecom, literally, they're not the guys who are flexing, right? And you'd be shocked to see how they actually live, but they actually probably hold the most assets. They have the most valuable brands. They just reinvest into the brand, and they're the smartest with the money. Most of these people flexing with these crazy lifestyles, they're usually the people who don't have much money at all. Especially like in Dubai, people don't pay taxes, so to be fair to them, they can afford to obviously buy more luxury stuff. But if they're wasting all the money, they look rich, but they're not actually cash rich. Okay, and also bear in mind that with e-commerce, you don't really usually have much cash on hand, because you get the cash later because of the payout schedules, and then also the investment costs and like cost of goods, especially if you've got a brand. So there's a lot of factors which go into this, right? Don't be fooled by people flexing. Some of the Dutch people are some of like the craziest people in e-commerce. I'm in a lot of communities like taught by Dutch people. They're some of the biggest killers in e-commerce in my experience, and also some of the Asians in e-commerce. I'm not talking about like Asian Americans, but like people in Singapore, China. They're some of the richest people in e-commerce and dropshipping. You wouldn't even know that, and they don't flex anything. They just dress normal, but they're worth absolutely millions. So materialism isn't the end goal for everyone, and it's great to do stuff like that for fun later when there's nothing left to prove and you have like an infinite money glitch in your bank. But it's not the smartest play, especially for the first few years, trust me, because that's just going to make you end up go broke. And things in life are expensive. Taxes are expensive, medical costs are expensive, travel's expensive. These are all things which I've lost a lot of money on too. So if you're wasting your money, that's not even wasting money. If you want to have nice holidays, that's cool. You have to pay taxes. Medical expenses come out of nowhere when stuff happens. Like I had something in summer which happened. I had to spend a lot of money on that. So you will lose money on actual needs in life. So if you're wasting it on wants but things you don't need, it's just not really good, because when an emergency hits, you're not going to be able to afford it. Next up, I also made the most ads. I outscaled most of my competitors on a specific product back in 2024 mostly, to roughly like the start of 2025. Before image ads were possible, you can check back on my channel for the whole proof of this, because I was pushing this. I would push like 15 to 20 ads, I'd say roughly a week, but these were video creatives, right? So I had to manually edit these myself, and I pushed these on my winner. This was when like I was running TikTok ads which just burn out really quickly. The reason I managed to run this product for months on TikTok ads, which is like the hardest platform for consistency, is I was pushing like 15 to 20 ads a week minimum, video ads, which I had to edit, and that was before AI ads. Then I moved it to Meta. I got some crazy results on Facebook. I did the same thing, but since like the start of 2025 and summer 2025, the way that I managed to keep momentum on Meta is now with AI image ads, I've basically just been pushing like 20 image ads a day minimum on that product for the winning product. So I've been able to just pump out creatives, but I don't throw stuff at the wall and hope they just stick. I do that at the start, obviously to test like proof of concept, but when there's actually a proven concept, I then actually put more thought into the creatives and I make variations and similar concepts to the winning concept to actually really scale. Now, copy and pasting does work, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those callow data rippers, although it is something I'm actually looking forward to doing recently because I see a lot of people still making a lot of money doing that. That's great for proof of concept. Like someone like me, I would personally maybe test the creatives that way and then make my own to scale it. That's probably the best way, not just pure ripping like some people, because that's like still crashing and burning. I may have ripped ads and scaled them myself in the past, so I know it's not outdated and it still hasn't stopped working. That does work, but the reason people who copied my ads back then failed is because they couldn't keep up with my creative output. They had to just keep waiting until I made new ads to copy me, and then I outscaled them and pushed them out of the auction, because obviously Facebook's like an auction system, because they just had too many ads and then I just had too much market share. That's what I did when I had like my biggest product, okay? People who copy and paste ads and don't actually learn how or why they work will always come second or fail because they don't understand how it works. They've just like hit gold by luck and then they just can't replicate the success because they're just copying and pasting. Now with AI as well, you can just put ads and concepts into it and it'll tell you why they work. You can just break them down and analyze them anyway, so it's really easy nowadays if you put in 1% effort, right? And when I found my first real winner, I looked to the data, I looked at the type of creative, the models that were in it, the product itself, the whole format of the ad, and even down to like the specific niche of the music in the winning ads that I'd made. And then I just kept replicating them, and then that allowed me just to keep printing money. For an example, if I had like a trending song that was like a rap song or something, I just start using more of those, targeting like that specific type of person who loved that style of music, loved those shots from the model, those style of like the look of the model in the videos, just little things, and then that's what actually works, right? And I just look at the trending songs of the time like on TikTok and I just throw them in, and if they worked I just keep doing it, right? Really simple. Once you find proof of concept, just keep iterating on it. Another thing that I did as well, which I think attributed a lot to the success, is that I didn't niche hop constantly. So I didn't constantly keep trying to find a new niche or changing niches. Look, I've sold multiple niches in the past. Most of them haven't worked, but I've tried electronics, I've tried fashion, I've tried jewelry, gifts, you name it, I've tried products in it. Especially when you're running like a general dropshipping store at the start, you want to kind of find which ones have the most pull. For an example, if you're seeing you're getting a lot of sales in jewelry, then start testing more jewelry. Maybe rings are working, so let's start testing more rings. You want to just hone down on the niche and then the subcategory of that niche, and then keep testing in that category and then build a branded store around it. That's the best way to do it, right? Now, there's so many things you can get into with dropshipping. People do supplement dropshipping. That's something which I haven't got into at all. I've been very interested in it, but to make a custom product costs more money, right? So that's like more of an end game. A lot of people get into like supplements and MRR. That's like kind of end game in the e-com space. A lot of people start off with categories like fashion and then they get into other categories. Some people just stick with safe stuff like tech and jewelry where they don't have many SKUs or variants. The thing that worked best for me though was I didn't want to constantly like hop niches. So I've been in the same niches now for like 1 to 2 years, I think probably 2 years or more, and I'm only now looking to expand into testing other niches in 2026. So after Chinese New Year ends, right now I'm doing my product research now that I've stopped my ads. Literally today, as of recording this video, I've stopped my ads and I'm looking at different like categories to start testing it. I'm not going to tell you what I'm testing either because I have a good plan what I'm going to test as soon as advertising resumes, and then I'll talk about it based on the results, right? But I'd advise you to give a niche a good chance, maybe like 3 to 6 months, and that's minimum, to see if it actually works for you, and test a lot of stuff in that niche, right? Because sometimes with e-commerce there's just so many variables. It might not be the niche, it might be the market, it might be your store, it might be anything, right? So give everything a good chance. Same with the whole business model, like e-commerce as a whole, give it like 6 months minimum. Don't hop business models as well, because that's why people fail. So if this free information was useful, you can also check out my community link down below. I'm waiting till the end of the video to tell you about it. it. I don't usually promo it. But this is where I share all my up-to-date strategies and information, tips like my current testing and scaling strategies, and KPIs I use to kill campaigns, all my product research techniques, some of the new up-to-date things that they've done to like the Facebook ad library, everything I share in my community. There's all the learning videos in there as well. Stuff that I don't share on YouTube with the free information, you can get it there too. I'll leave that link down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you want more free e-commerce value on this channel. I am posting a lot and I'm back on YouTube in 2026. And you can check out these 2 videos next to learn more. See you soon.